Hey, do you want to get free seller leads from Google? In today's video, we're going to talk about the number one thing you need to do to outrank your competition. Hey, it's Josh Ayers here with REI Black Book, and in today's video, we've got a recording from one of our previous REI Bootcamp events where we brought in and interviewed Dan Barrett, who's the CEO of AdWords Nerds, which is a marketing agency that specializes in Google Ads and SEO for real estate investors. And during this video, Dan's gonna teach you the number one thing that you need to know if you wanna outrank your competition to get seller leads coming to you for free from Google. So every time a seller goes to Google and type in, I need to sell my house fast in St. Louis, for example, your website will show up. So Dan comes in and he talks about what Google wants to see and what Google considers when ranking websites. The best part about this strategy is it includes almost no technical know-how. You don't have to understand how to get into the back of a website to accomplish this strategy. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe below and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time we release videos just like this. With that said, let's get into the video. So guys, you are in for a treat this morning. So Dan has done a number of trainings with us. He's spoken at a couple of our boot camps. He's done a couple accelerator workshops, and Dan is an incredible teacher, an incredible instructor. He runs a company, like I said, called AdWords Nerds, where they run pay-per-click ads. Specifically, they focus on specifically helping real estate investors find motivated sellers online. And again, I'll let him talk about why that's important. But they run pay-per-click ads for investors, and they also do SEO work for investors. So they help your company show up high in search. Did you have something? Okay. And so what Dan's going to be talking about this morning is how to get your website to show up when somebody goes to Google or Bing, if anyone uses that, and searches how to sell my house fast. Oh, Damon reminded me that Dan, one of the reasons we love having Dan come and speak is because he aligns with our core values as a company. He is a complete giver. As you're going to see in this presentation, even though his services are incredible, he gives you everything that you need to actually go and do it on yourself. He's got a cool little resource that he's going to give you as well. But I would also encourage you, if this is something that you're interested in, the service that his company offers is incredible. We don't make any money off saying that. I truly believe in the service that he offers. I know a number of our users have used his services with great results. So with that said, I'm going to pass things over to Dan Barrett. Thanks, Dan.
Cool. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. So we just talked about it, and then there was a thing in the back of my head, and I looked it up, and Andy is one of our clients. So that was my bad. I didn't want to say that. I wasn't sure, but that's awesome. So that's I'm excited to see what he's got to say about that. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you having me here. Every time I do anything with the REI Black Book folks, I'm reminded of like what an incredible company you guys have, and I'm very, very honored to be here. And yeah, if you guys are watching this, I'm very excited to be talking to you. And hopefully I'm going to take something that is really can be extremely complicated and kind of a pain in the tuchus. And hopefully I'm going to boil it down and make it really, really easy. So this presentation is going to be called Proven the Most Effective Ways to Get Powerful Links to Your REI Black Book website. And I'm going to talk about all the specific stuff. I'm going to talk about why this is important. Before I do that, I would love for you guys to just focus in on me. And I know that I'm a big note taker whenever I go see a seminar, anything like this. So I have prepared for you a resource. It's at adwordsnerds.com/REIBB 2020. So adwordsnerds.com, that's just the website, and then REIBB 2020. If you go there, I'm going to show you guys this right now. You are going to get a doc here. It's got everything I am going to talk about. It's got links. It's got a link to the slides that I'm going to show. Everything you're going to need for this presentation is going to be in this doc. So again, it's adwordsnerds.com/ REIBB 2020. There is no opt-in required. There's nothing. You can just go there, make a copy of that doc. So you have your own copy you can look at, you can edit, you can make notes on, etc. So I wanted to do that just to make sure that like you and I, we're going to make a connection here. We're going to, be able to focus because look, I get it. When we talk about computer stuff, we talk about search engine optimization, we talk about PPC. It can get techie, it can get boring, it can get abstract. So we're going to try to keep it right here. All you got to do is focus in on my beautiful face. So there you go. AdWordsNerds.com/REIBB 2020. And that address is going to be on multiple slides. So if you didn't get it, don't worry. It's going to be on like nearly every slide. So let me just give a quick introduction. Josh did a really, really great job of introducing me. So there's not a whole lot I have to say, but I do want to tell you a little bit about me and my company, which is called AdWords Nerds. We are the largest official Google partner agency that is dedicated entirely to real estate investors. Investors are our only clients. And even within the investing world, we are really, really focused in on motivated seller leads specifically. We work with folks like the folks at REI Black Book, Joe McCall, Tom Kroll. We work with the folks at Flip Nerd, all people all over the spectrum from big and small. Google themselves rated us in the 95th percentile in terms of all agencies across all industries in terms of implementing best practices. We manage about $5 million a year in ad spend just on motivated sellers. And I personally run the REI Marketing Nerds podcast. We've got over 100 episodes and a 5-star rating right now. If you are into online marketing, that's a great place to kind of get more information just on this stuff. Not to mention, I put this over a decade's worth of experience in SEO. I did SEO before I started AdWords Nerds, and I am still the head of our SEO division right now. So I am working with investors, ranking their websites in Google literally every day. So this is on my mind. Just one of the reasons when Josh reached out to me and said, do you want to give a presentation? This was what I wanted to talk about because this is on my mind. This is something I deal with real estate investors every single day. And it's the question of how do you rank a website in Google? Specifically, if you've got a website with a company like REI Black Book that's already providing so much value on the back end in terms of their marketing and making it easy to get a website up and making it easy to automate so much of your workflow, right? How do you leverage that by getting as many leads as humanly possible to that website? And if I'm just going to back up, I'm going to give you a quick piece of kind of context here. Right? It is still the case in terms of online leads that Google is the primary source of the highest converting motivated seller leads anywhere. I know this for a fact. I'm not just saying this because I have literally tested every single online channel you could imagine, from Google PPC to Facebook ads, to Facebook organic, to Twitter ads. We've run Reddit ads. We've done things like Outbrain and all sorts of weird ad networks you have never heard of, YouTube ads, Instagram. We have tried TikTok ads. We have done pretty much everything. And the common thread across everything that we teach is that Google leads are typically just going to convert to deals more often. They're going to be a higher quality, they are going to be more motivated, and they're going to be worth more on average. So I'm not saying this is going to be the case forever. I will certainly let you know when it isn't, but for now, Google is still the king for online leads. And if you want to break down Google in terms of Google has paid traffic, like it's ads, and Google has the organic traffic, which is everything that isn't ads. Like you type in, how big was Abraham Lincoln's hat? And you see a bunch of stuff there, right? That's the organic results. You want to think of this in terms of this, right? I love Google Ads. Obviously, I do Google Ads. You're going to hear from one of our clients, Andy Werner, who talks about like Google Ads working for him. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I named the company AdWords Nerds for a reason. Google organic in pretty much any market, big or small, is roughly 4 to 5 times the size of Google paid ads. Most people simply don't click ads. You have probably had this experience where you don't click ads. Now, I click ads all the time. I don't know because, I'm weird, but most people skip the ads and go to the organic results. So showing up in the organic results as an investor, when someone types in something like sell my house fast, or I want to sell my house, or, what's the deal with those we buy houses signs that I always see, or whatever they're typing in, showing up there is absolutely massively important for your long-term return on investment for the marketing that you do. Every investor that wants to have a significant online presence has to think about how they are showing up in Google. It is just a fact of reality, is just the way things are. We all have to think about it. So when I wanted to give this presentation, I wanted to really boil this down to one thing that you could take away and immediately apply. Like, my goal for this presentation is you leave this knowing that you are going to do at least something, even if it's one specific thing that's going to get you more leads and deals, if not this month, if not next month, then 3 months from now. And when it comes down to the one single biggest factor in terms of ranking your website online, getting leads, getting deals, the thing that moves the needle, the number one thing I would point to is links, sometimes called backlinks. Most of us have some kind of conception of links to our website as being a good idea. So links are the thing. Again, for investors, most of the time, that's going to move the needle the most in the shortest period of time. So why is that? Let's just talk about this for a second. All right. Now, links. What is a link? A link is simply a piece of text on a website where if you click on it, you go to another page, right? It could be a page on your own website, right? Like on your website, if you've got your homepage on REI Black Book and you have a thing that says About Us and you click that, that's a link to the About Us page, right? That is a link, okay? You could have a link on Wikipedia to your website or to some other website, right? Those are all links. They are connections between pages online. And the reason that they are important is that Google itself, way back in the day when Google was just two dudes in a garage, the classic Silicon Valley story, right? Google started with the idea of, instead of looking at every individual website and deciding what it should be, indexed for, what if we used links as a way of deciding which pages were popular? That is the idea behind Google, right? That pages with links are generally more popular than pages without links. Now, that picture is much more complicated today. All right, I'm not here to tell you that it's the same as it was, but it remains the case that 99.2% of all top 50 results in Google have at least one link for anything that you search for. 77.8% of top results, meaning all the way at the top of the page, have at least one external link. This is just the case that it is still the way that Google works, that links are incredibly important. And there are people out there that will tell you that's not true. Now SEO is so much more complex and blah, 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 blah. In some ways, that's the case. But I'm here to tell you that if someone tells you that links don't matter anymore, they just do not know what they are talking about. I could show you this chart here when we look at search traffic correlated with referring domains, which basically just means how many websites link to you and how much traffic do you get. There is a clear, I won't say causation because maybe this chart doesn't prove that, but a clear correlation between the amount of links that you have and the amount of traffic that you get directly from Google. So I'm telling you, links are important. They really move the needle. We have seen this time and again with investors. Okay, so point number one, links are important. I hope you follow me here. So why do investors struggle with this? Because I will tell you that although I'm clearly telling you, right? Hey, links are important. You got to get links to your website. It is the number one point of contention, point of struggle, point of difficulty. This is where most investors fall off the map. It's with links. So why is that the case? There are a variety of reasons why this is. The number one I'm going to point to here is this idea that's called the Red Queen effect. And Most of you are going to be familiar with Alice in Wonderland. It's the classic tale of a girl who falls down a hole and does drugs and hallucinates for, 24 hours or however long it's supposed to be. However you interpret this classic tale, we're pretty familiar with some of the classic characters like Alice or the Cheshire Cat or, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. But there are a lot of really deep ideas in Alice in Wonderland. And one of the characters that very few people are familiar with is the Red Queen. And the Red Queen is really interesting. If you read this as an adult, which I recommend that you do, a lot of the things that happen in Alice in Wonderland very, very clearly seem to be hiding deeper ideas. So here's the story with the Red Queen. Alice runs into the Red Queen and they have this conversation. And at some point the Red Queen says, no, we've got to go. We've got to go. We've got to go right now. We've got to run. And they start sprinting. Like she grabs Alice by the hand and they start sprinting in the woods. It's running and running and running and running and running. But what Alice realizes is that after they stop running, they just run and run and they sprint and they're out of breath and they're sweating. After they stop running, they are in the same place they were when they started. And Alice says, well, what's the deal? We just ran so hard. I'm exhausted, but we're nowhere further than we were. We're exactly in the same place. And the Red Queen says, here in my kingdom, everything in the background moves so quickly that we have to run just to stay still. Everything in the background moves so quickly, we have to run just to stay in the exact same place. Now, the Red Queen effect, that kind of basic idea, is a mental model that comes from evolutionary biology. And the idea here is that competing animals in an ecosystem have to constantly compete with each other just to stay in a stable equilibrium, right? So the rabbit evolves to avoid the fox. So it uses its energy, uses its DNA, uses the variety of stress that it goes under in order to develop faster speed. Well, the fox then has to evolve to keep eating. If it just lets the rabbit run faster than it forever, there aren't going to be any foxes around. So then the fox has to develop an equal sort of increase in the amount that it can run. Well, now we're back at a stable equilibrium. Well, now the rabbit has to evolve. So maybe the rabbit evolves, I don't know, armor. It didn't do that, but let's just say the rabbit evolves armor. Well, now the fox is going to have to evolve sharper teeth in order to puncture the armor. And the thing to remember about this is that each of these animals is dedicating more and more time, stress, energy to these evolutionary improvements, but neither of them has an advantage for long. They stay exactly where they were. Just like the Red Queen has to run and run and run and run and run just to stay in one place. That's the Red Queen effect. Now, this same thing, I see this happen again and again, happens in real estate investing in Google. Here's what I mean. You want to improve your rankings because you know, for example, that a really good lead in your market might be worth anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 to $50,000. So that is a lot of value. You are willing to invest in order to capture that value. So maybe you go out and you optimize your website. You make the pictures better. You make the text better so that Google likes it. Bam, knocks you back up top. You're number one in Google. Congratulations. Well, now your competitor is losing the leads that went to you. So what does your competitor do? Your competitor has to evolve to keep up. Now they optimize their website and they make their pictures better. Well, now you guys are even again. Google looks at the websites and basically says, hey, your websites are essentially the same. So now you have to do something. You're like, well, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to put videos out. I'm going to link to my website. Well, then your competitors start a YouTube channel. And all of a sudden you are both spending all day working on your SEO or spending lots and lots of money on your SEO, and you are exactly in the same place you started. I see this happen in market after market after market. And the thing I want you to remember, the factor here that makes this so difficult for investors is that SEO is not a zero-sum game. It is a red queen environment, by which I mean the only advantages that last are those that are hard to replicate. I'm going to say this again, because if I give you anything, any mental model that's going to help you make money from this, it is this one. Okay, it is this one. The only advantages that last in real estate investing SEO are those that are hard to replicate. If you do something to your website that your competitors can easily do, you will not have an advantage for very long. Just like the rabbit gets faster and the fox gets faster, you have to find something that your competitors find hard to do. That's factor number one. Factor number two that makes link building really difficult for real estate investors. It is not just about quantity. It is about relevance and authority. There are a lot of companies out there that will be like, well, I'm going to build you 100 links or whatever it is, right? Pay me $50, I'll build you 100 links. But the problem is, it is not simply a matter of building a bunch of stuff. Google is not dumb. They have been doing this a long time. They realize that a link from whitehouse.gov or a link from twitter.com homepage or a link from Wikipedia is worth more than a link from, Dan Barrett, topless calendar 2020.org or whatever it is, right? The higher the relevance of the website that links to you, the higher the authority of the website that links to you, the more valuable that link is. I'll tell you a quick story. We had a client once came to us for an SEO audit, and I ended up not working with them because I was like, you really don't need us. You're already crushing it. It's fine. And I looked at their website, and their website was pretty bad. It was not an REI Black Book website. They had made it themselves out of like glue and whatever they made it out of. And it was pretty bad. And they didn't really have any good reviews, and they only had one link, and everything was pretty bad. And they were crushing it, crushing their market. They got all the leads in their market. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out how this is the case, because everything I know about SEO says that this website should be nowhere right now. And instead, it's number one for pretty much everything. Well, we figured it out when we went to go look at that one link. So that one link was from the Today Show, because the woman that was working with this company had started this nonprofit, and she had been on the Today Show for the nonprofit, not for her investing company. And the Today Show had linked to the investing company website. So no matter what you did in this market, you would constantly run up against the fact that like, hey, this link from this national television show, it's worth way more than the 50 links you paid some guy $10 to build. It's worth way more than the link from your friend. It has high relevance, high authority. So it's not just about quantity, it's about authority. And factor number three, which may be the most important one, no one wants to link to real estate investors. I love real estate investors. I want you to know that I love you. You will probably admit that like real estate investors have sort of a weird position in our culture right now, right? Real estate investors are on HGTV pretty much every day. People will watch people flip houses all day, every day. But if you go and ask a local business for a link to your real estate investing website, all of a sudden they get cold feet. This is something I see literally every day. It is very hard to find legitimate link sources for real estate investors, which has pushed a lot of real estate investors to really low quality options. So one of the things I always say about this market is the bar is very low. If you can do better than pretty bad, you're going to be a star. So just remember these factors, right? It's a red queen environment. It's not about quantity, it's about relevance and authority. And no one wants to link to real estate investors. All right? We need to get past these things in order to do our work. So, whoops, I'm going to try to go back. Here we go. All right. So, does anyone remember Goofus and Gallant? You guys remember this? Okay. In Highlights magazine, I have 2 kids. Highlights magazine, they've been running this comic strip since like the 40s called Goofus and Gallant. Goofus is the kid that does everything wrong, and Gallant is the kid that does everything great. Okay, so like Goofus runs with scissors, Gallant walks with scissors. There's a really funny one where Goofus, like Gallant's like, I love having a younger brother. And like Goofus is like, I straight up wish you were never born. I hate your guts, right? Like Goofus is the bad one. Gallant is the good one. So what I'm going to show you here is how to be more like Gallant and less like Goofus when you are building links for your real estate investing business.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video with Dan Barrett. Real quick, if you're looking to get a real estate website created for your business that ranks in Google and that has all of the tools that you need to show up in the search results, then give REI Blackbook a try. We make it super easy to get a brand new website set up in minutes. You can get in and easily customize your website, add your logo, add your branding, and you don't have to know anything about coding or web design. And the websites are designed for conversion, which means you're gonna be able to convert more of your website's visitors into leads right out of the box. So if you'd like to get a real estate website set up for your business without any of the technical headaches, go ahead and click the button below this video, sign up for a free trial of REI Blackbook, and get your website built today.
Right, Goofus in real estate investing says, I'm gonna hire a cheap link building service that anyone could use. I'm gonna hire a cheap link building service that anyone could use. Now, you don't need me to tell you why this is a bad idea. You have the mental model now in order to screen this idea for yourself. The fact that it is cheap, the fact that anybody could use it, means that by definition, it is not an advantage that is hard to replicate. Remember, the only advantage that matters to you in terms of your REI Blackbook website, getting more organic leads, getting deals from it, the only thing you have to remember is what advantages can I get that are hard to replicate. Now, Gallant is going to say, the good one, that was Goofus. Gallant is going to say, I'm going to build high authority links my competitors are unwilling or unable to build. This is the thing we want to look for. It's high authority, right? They are unwilling to do it or they are unable to do it. What I'm asking you to do here is dig deep on yourself and understand what gives you a unique advantage. Because I will tell you, everyone on this call right now, you included, you have some kind of advantage that the competitors in your market cannot touch. It is true for everyone. It is true for you. So I want you thinking about this in the back of your head. All right. Now let's break this down and let's talk about the specifics. That was the theory, the mental models. Let's talk about the specifics. Let's talk about how we actually be more like Gallant and not like Goofus. I'm going to give you a bunch of different steps. I'm going to give you a bunch of different categories. As a reminder, if you go to this doc, you don't have to go there now, but this doc is here for you after this presentation. I have all of this broken down with specific examples and links for you, okay? Every single one of these has specific examples and links on the doc. For now, I just want you to get the big picture, all right? Let's start with step one. This is literally how I would suggest that you start. If you are starting from scratch, you've never built links to your REI Blackbook website before, this is how you start. They are called foundational links. Now, these are not links that people are unwilling or unable to get. These are the easy ones. But that's okay because everyone else has the easy ones. So we kind of need to get the easy ones just to play ball, right? I always say, like, this is what we pay to get into the club, right? It's the cover. The cover charge is, hey, we got to get the easy stuff. What is the easy stuff? For example, if you have social media profiles, making sure that those social media profiles link to your website. If you have other sites that you control, some of you, for example, will have a seller site on REI Black Book, and then you'll also have a site for buyers at a different domain name. Well, hey, if you've got two websites, link them together. Link them together. This shockingly high number of people do not do this. If you've got a website for a different business, link it. If your cousin has a business, right? Your wife or your husband has a website for their craft business or anything like that. Any website you can get access to that you might have some control over, build a link there. These are the really simple things that make a big difference that actually very few people think to do. They either don't want to ask, they feel awkward, they don't think it matters. It matters. It matters. Now, things like message boards or forums. BiggerPockets is one. There's a bunch of them. I link to them on the doc. Now, these are okay to get. You want to be a little bit careful with these. You don't want to, for example, have like 1 million links from BiggerPockets because you have a bunch of different profiles or anything like that. But if you are active on a message board and you have a profile there, throw a link to your website in there. You might as well. So put in this category anything where it's like, I had the profile already, I might as well put a link there, or I have access to this website either through my own business or through a different website that I own or through someone I know, I might as well reach out and just get a link there. Very important to do. Easy to get, but important to do. Now let's talk about authority links. Let's say you build those, you did step one, the foundational stuff, you feel like you're pretty good. Next thing we want is authority links. Authority links are primarily about indicating legitimacy. If you think about what Google is trying to do, what is Google's goal? Google's goal is to get people to use Google. That's Google's priority. And people will stop using Google if they click on a website and they get a virus, or they got scammed for $1 million, or it's never the right kind of website. Google's got to be accurate and it's got to be safe. That's how they get people to use Google. So a big part of what Google is trying to do is just figure out, are you a scam? Are you a spammer? Are you trying to steal these people's money? Are you legitimate? That's what they're trying to figure out. So authority links indicate to Google that we are legitimate. Better Business Bureau. I am not a particularly huge fan of the Better Business Bureau. I don't think their actual service is particularly great. Your mileage may vary, whatever. But it's good for indicating authority because very few spammers and scammers are on the Better Business Bureau. So yeah, I'm going to go and get a link. Now, I will say Better Business Bureau, if you sign up for this, it's a paid thing. You sign up for it, you want to go and double check that your page for your business actually has a link. I have run into instances where clients have done this and the link is not included. You want to reach out to them if that is the case and be like, hey, give me the link. I know it's great. I get the badge. Give me the link. You want the link. Chamber of Commerce, really good for this. If you have a local Chamber of Commerce, reach out, ask if there's a directory, ask if you can get linked there, join it. Again, very few fraudsters bother to join the Chamber of Commerce. Local RIAs are quite good for this. Real estate trade groups are really great for this. If you have a local RIA, maybe sponsor it, maybe start one and run it yourself. Offer to run a presentation, whatever you can do to get a link from there, those are highly relevant, right? They are relevant to what you do. If you have a particular professional license or certification that has a trade group or a trade association attached to it, reach out and see if they have links. There are actually many universities with alumnus associations or alumni associations that will link to your business. You won't know unless you ask. And finally, professional associations, I don't know if you're like a Freemason or whatever, Bricklayers Guild or whatever you are, anything that you are a part of, a professional group, get a link there. Something that very few people do, but that I would probably do if I had to make my money investing in houses that starting now, and I could only use SEO, something I would probably do, I would start a real estate investors organization in my market. And I would be the head of it, because then I could always say I'm the head of this thing. And I would make a website. I would have a separate website for that organization, and I would link to myself. That's just me. It's a lot of work. Again, what are the things people kind of aren't willing to do? So these are authority links, very important. Like I said, on the doc, I've got all sorts of links for you. Now let's talk about local sources. We have these foundational links in step one, which are like, hey, these are the easy ones, the basic ones. Then we had authority links, which are primarily about, hey, I am a legitimate business. I am not, a prince in some far off country that needs to put money in your bank account, right? I'm legitimate. Now we're talking about local sources. Local sources are important because you have a geographically oriented business. Investors generally don't want to invest anywhere. Some people do, but most investors have an area in which they want to invest. So for Google to understand that, we have to do what's called geo-targeting. We have to have links to us and information on the website that indicates the area in which we are investing. All right. So we want links that are primarily local inside our target markets. A good way to do this is to sponsor local events or venues. So if you have like I grew up in Glastonbury, Connecticut, which is kind of like, pretty nice. When I was growing up there, it was pretty rural. And Glastonbury for decades and decades, the biggest thing that happens in Glastonbury is the Apple Fest, the Glastonbury Apple Fest. And the Apple Fest is like, the carnies come to town and the carnival stuff is there. But then local people bake pies and, PTO is there and all that stuff. And so sponsoring the Apple Fest is a fantastic thing to do if you are investing in a place like Glastonbury, Connecticut, because they link to you from the town website. Really, really important, right? Nonprofit events. Really, really awesome to do. Sponsor your local 5K. A lot of times athletic venues, if you've got sometimes I'll have like a soccer place, like an indoor soccer place or whatever. A lot of times you can sponsor the venue for the entire season and they'll link to you from the website. So this is more about content creation. Something, again, I was thinking like, what would I do if I had to do this tomorrow? Something I would do, and something we'll sometimes do for clients, is local business roundups or spotlights. This is a recurring type of content you create. I will tell you exactly what I would do. And to my knowledge, no one has ever done this. This is $1 million idea. You need to steal this idea, okay? I like going out to restaurants. What I would do is I would make a list of all the awesome restaurants in my target market. And I would make a recurring sort of little YouTube thing where I go in my real estate investing shirt, like Sell Me Your House shirt or whatever. And I go and I review the restaurant. I make a really nice video. I interview the owner. And then I put the whole blog post online and I link to them. And the reason that I'm doing that is that, one, Google's seeing me link to local sources, but I will guarantee you there's no local business that's going to be like, oh, you're making a sick video about my business? Yeah, I'll link to you for that. They're going to give me a link back. They're going to share that on their social media. That's something I could do every week if I wanted to. No one does stuff like that. Again, what are people unwilling or unable to do? That is a significant advantage. Doesn't just have to be restaurants. I like food, but you could do local business spotlights, right? Hey, every week I interview a different local business. Doesn't have to be real estate. Could be any local business. Really, really important to do. Get those links from local sources. Sponsoring a Little League baseball team is a classic example of this. All right, let's talk about directory links. Now, these are another kind that I put these later in the process because I don't really care a whole ton about these. They're relatively easy to acquire, but they are specific if you do it right. Here's what I mean. They are real estate investing specific. So if you've got blog directories that list places and you are frequently blogging, you might as well get that content listed on a blog directory, right? There's a variety of them. I link to a whole bunch of them. local business directories, right? If there's like, I live in West Hartford, Connecticut, there's like a West Hartford, Connecticut business website, I'm going to get listed there, right? Or if there's a real estate directory, I'm going to get listed there. If there's like a Connecticut business directory, I'm going to get listed there. There are websites like, so ratemyrei.com. I'll show you, this is a good example. Now, full disclosure, a past employee of mine actually built this website. I have no financial stake in it. I don't make any money from this website at all. You can list for free. There is a paid plan, I think, but whatever. But the reason I'm pointing this out is because we actually built this because it's hard to find industry-specific listing sites. If you can find an industry-specific listing site, grab a listing there. They are important because they are relevant. So Rate My REI was also always supposed to be about, like, it was a place you could get reviews, place you could get, hey, these are all ethical real estate investors. This is Jeremiah, someone who worked for me, built this. It's great. We use it for our clients. I pay to use it for clients. It's a way to build a link, and it's relatively easy. Like I said, I don't make anything from doing that. I don't have any relationship with that website anymore, but it's a good example of an industry-specific directory. Okay, again, directory is easy to get. If you want to get it, fine. Let's talk about the big one, the king, the absolute king, which is earned media. The thing that I want more than anything, the thing I spend all my time thinking about, earned media. Earned media is a legitimate link from a big media source, news source, even another blog. Someone reaching out to link to you because you're awesome. You earned it, not because you asked for it, because you earned it. That's earned media. I'm going to break down a bunch of different ways to do this. One of my favorite ways, very few investors do this. I highly recommend it. Podcasts. Either be on them or make your own. Podcasts are amazing. They build lots and lots of links every time you're on them because it gets syndicated across the internet. People love podcasts. People who hear you on podcasts will be more likely to sell to you because they feel like they know you. It's a very intimate experience. And if you make your own podcast, not only is it a way of creating recurring content on your website that's good for SEO, but you can reach out to influential people in your market to build relationships, interview them, and then they will link to you to share the episodes that they're on. The secret of a podcast. I have a podcast. I've had many people on it, right? I thought Damon was on it. One of the reasons that people love podcasts is that everybody loves to be interviewed. Who doesn't love that? It's good for the ego. You feel good. You get to answer questions. You get to explain yourself. You get to talk about what you do. People love it. And if you invite, let's say, the mayor or whoever onto your podcast, they're going to share it out. They're going to promote it because it makes them look good. Really, really amazing strategy. Helperreporter.com. Here's another big one. We do a lot of this for clients. It takes work. Link quality is very high. Here's what's going to happen. You sign up as a source for journalists on helperreporter.com. Every day they send out 3 emails, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, that has different people that are looking for sources for different variety of things. It's all sorts of stuff, not just real estate. What you're going to do is look for the things that you think you can weigh in on, respond as quickly as possible with a quote or whatever they need. And then if they use you as a source in their story, much of the time they will give you a link back. I have a client who's been doing this religiously for like 3 or 4 months. He has built amazing links from places like Forbes and all sorts of really high quality news outlets, blogs, all this stuff. It's basically his only link building strategy, and he is killing it. He's making a lot of progress. So this is something that it takes time, takes a little effort, takes a little discipline, but the quality is unbeatable. And this is the way that you get in places like that you would never expect. Like, so for example, like Forbes, or you get onto, all sorts of cool stuff, blogs that you didn't even know about that will give you really high quality links. Here's the one that very few people think about: testimonials or case studies. If you have software, like for example, I don't know if REI Black Book does it, but you use some kind of other piece of software for your business or just for anything, right? Like you've got an app on your phone that you really like. Reach out to that company and say, hey, I would love to give you a testimonial or a case study. break down how you use their tool in your business. Almost always, they are going to jump at the opportunity to list your little testimonial on the website and give a little link to the business. We've done this with several different things. There's a company called ClickCease. So ClickCease is a software we were using to stop fraud on a couple different clients. They feature us prominently on their homepage with a link to AdWords Nerds, and it's one of our better links because it's highly relevant, it's highly authoritative. So you can do this systematically. Every time you have a piece of software or an app or something that you use and you like, think about how can we use this as a case study for them? Again, you're providing value to them, and they're almost always going to link back to you. Event recaps are really good. When you're at an event like this one, think about taking your notes and your major kind of takeaways, turn it into a piece of content, and then reach out to someone like Josh or like Damon and be like, hey, I wrote this thing. And it's all about breaking down how amazing the event was and all the things I learned from it. Many, many companies, people that put on events would love to link to things like this because it's free promotion for them and you are generating a highly targeted link in return. Not to mention just providing value to people that do what you do. Local news is a big one. I love local news. I usually say the localer the better, which I don't even know if that makes sense. But local news is starving for stories. If you've got like a really local paper, like we have like the West Hartford something or other, right? And the story is like local kid lifts pumpkin or whatever. It's like they're always just dying for something. You got to put something in print. Make something newsworthy happen. Sponsor that nonprofit that I was talking about very early on, right? Promote your podcast, promote your thing. Make it a news story. Think about what they would actually want to write about. It can't be like local investor buys houses. They know that's promotion. But think about what you can do in your community and then reach out to a local news source. These links are gold. Google loves local news sources. It's highly relevant, highly authoritative, and it has geo-targeting, and it's hard to do. These are some of the best links to get, and they are actually far easier to get than you think. I put in that doc that I gave you an article about Richard Branson. Richard Branson's a perfect example of someone who uses media extremely well. Press releases are sort of similar. A lot of people use press releases for SEO. Do not do that. It doesn't work. It's a waste of time. But if you are doing something newsworthy, something that really makes a difference, something that's important, and you put a press release out, you will get legitimate stories and news written about you. Okay, I know I just gave you a bunch of stuff. I want to have question and answer time because I know that's important. Remember, this is the doc right here, adwordsnerds.com/REIBB2020. I want you to take away just two things. One, understand this core concept of what is going to give you an advantage in SEO is stuff that is hard to do, that your opponents are unwilling or unable to do. And then two, remember that there is a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. All these different ways you can go get links. They almost all hinge on how can you provide value to someone else in a real way, because that is what people are unwilling to do. Everyone wants a shortcut. No one wants to do that work. If you can do it, you will be generating tons of deals online in a relatively short amount of time. I've seen it time and again. So that's the presentation. Q&A.
So when linking to podcasts, does it make any sense to link to podcasts or to link to like Wikipedia pages or anything like that? Obviously, we're talking about getting links, but we had a couple questions about linking out. Is there any value in linking out to other third-party websites?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There is some value in linking out. It's a little bit different than the value in getting a link. When you get a link, right, that's a way of showing Google, that basically people are voting for you in a giant popularity contest. The reason that you link out specifically to authoritative websites or websites that are highly relevant to what you're talking about is because that indicates to Google that the content is high quality, right? You want to think about like if you read an academic article or you're reading a book, for example, you want them to cite sources. You want them to mention other authoritative people. If you're reading a book that says like, hey, like aliens built the pyramids and there's no evidence cited whatsoever, you're not going to take that argument seriously. But if you read, for example, a blog post that you write where you say, hey, I'm citing housing data, and here's a link to the housing data. Hey, I'm citing, like an interview with another real estate investor, and here's a link to that interview. That indicates to Google that the content is high quality, and generally it's considered a plus in terms of optimizing that content. So yes, there is a reason to do that. A lot of my clients, when I coach SEO or something like that, we will build in, for example, if we have a page that's targeting a specific local market, West Hartford or whatever. I'm making I invest in West Hartford page or sell your house at West Hartford page. I will generally try to link to perhaps the town government website. If there's a Wikipedia page about that town, I might link to that. Things like that, because I'm indicating to Google that I know what I'm talking about. There's some evidence behind what I'm talking about, and that I'm an authoritative quality source. So yes, there is some benefit to it. I wouldn't overdo it because you don't want to send too many people away from the page, but you do want to have probably 2 or 3 high quality outbound links on most pieces of content that you're making.
Awesome. Jerry's got a question. What are your thoughts about using SEMrush for SEO to spy on your competition or other SEO tools for that matter?
Yeah, I like SEMrush quite a bit. There's also Ahrefs, which is quite good. The thing to remember about all those tools is that their picture of what is happening is very inexact. The way that they get their SEO data is by looking at public-facing search results pages and sort of taking snapshots and doing a lot of extrapolation. The general trend that you're almost always going to see is that the amount of traffic that they estimate in something like SEMrush is going to be pretty inaccurate. Usually it's going to be too high. Sometimes it's too low, but usually it's too high. So I like it. I like it to use, especially for finding links that other people have. It's a valuable tool if you're doing a lot of SEO, but I don't think it's a must buy for most investors. Generally because, you want to focus on what you're doing, not necessarily obsessing about your competition, but it's a great tool. I pay for it. And yeah, if you know how to use it, you can get some value out of it while remembering it's just an estimate. It's not exact. Then I would say go for it.
Awesome. This is an interesting question. So Keith and Sally asked if your link is on your cousin's website, does it matter to Google if no one ever clicks it?
That is an interesting question. I would say that generally no. Right? What's going to matter is what Google thinks about your cousin's website overall. So if your cousin's website has what's called a high domain authority, meaning Google thinks that's really great, then that link is worth more. So I might assume if no one ever clicks the website, maybe no one ever goes to that website, maybe it's a relatively low domain authority website, that link is probably worth a little bit less. But generally, it's still worth something. It's still a vote. Not all votes are created equal in Google's system, but it's still a vote. So no, I wouldn't worry a whole ton about whether it ever gets clicked. You would want it on a page that's visible, obviously, but otherwise I wouldn't worry a ton about that.
Awesome. Here is a question from Dee, and she asked, and I think this is kind of what she's asking, but I'll read the question. If you write a title on the page, so you title the page, does the SEO need to repeat? So does that keyword need to repeat in the 3 boxes that come up for SEO check on REIBB? So Dan, what she's basically asking is on an REI Blackbook website, you've got the little keyword tool, right? The little keyword plugin. Does that keyword need to repeat, that title of that website need to repeat throughout the meta description basically?
Gotcha. Yeah. So first of all, you don't need to do anything. So we're really talking about how much do we care about optimizing a specific page for a specific keyword. If you are trying to get a page to rank for a very specific keyword, generally you want to have that keyword in the title. And then you're also going to want to have that keyword, for example, sprinkled throughout the page in the meta description. You're gonna want to use it a variety of different places. So yes, generally you kind of want it to be consistent. The thing to also remember about this is that Google now operates on what's called natural language processing. We all use in conversation different ways of saying the same thing. You might say sell my house fast. He might say sell my house quick. Google understands that these are basically the same thing. So back in the day, it was everything had to be rigid. It had to be exactly the same. You'd have to say, just sell my house fast. And that was it. And it had to be exactly the same everywhere. That is less important today than it was. But as a general practice, if you know a page is about a specific keyword, you're going to want to use it in the title. You're going to want to use it in the meta description. You're going to want to use it in the page kind of body text. You're going to want to use it as a headline. That's just general best practice. But I wouldn't think about in terms of black and white, you have to do it a certain way. That's not the case. It's just like, hey, if you're going to check all these boxes on an SEO checklist, you're probably going to do it that way.
Awesome. Well, Dan, thank you so much. We did have a couple people asking, is this something that AdWords nerds can just do for us? So we did have a few people in the chat ask that. So this is what Dan's company does, guys. And the thing that I love about it is they don't have dentists and chiropractors and e-commerce folks. Oh, and we also help real estate investors. All they do is work with real estate investors. And so there are little nuances that are different in real estate, not even just real estate in general, real estate investing, finding motivated sellers online. So there's a couple different ways to get more information. Number one, if you're interested in having Dan's company do this for you, I think you might be able to book a strategy session with his team. So do you have a
if you go to that if you go to that document that I just gave everybody, there's a link here that says talk to the team. You can just click that and we'll walk you through the whole process. We'll walk you through what it would be. If it makes sense for you, we do link building for investors every day. And we do it all manual. It's all real people reaching out, building relationships. So we can certainly do that.
Awesome.
And then just another point, all this is specific to investors, right? This isn't general advice just to anybody. It's specifically stuff that I know works for you guys. So that's next.
And that's why we love bringing Dan on. And if you want to do this yourself and learn more about it, Dan actually did a full 2-day workshop where he got super in the weeds on this stuff. He did an accelerator sometime this past year with us. And so if you want to learn more about that, you could actually check out his accelerator. And if you have questions on the accelerator plan, just let us know, pop them in the chat. So Dan, is there anything that you'd like to leave everybody with before we say goodbye?
No, I'm super proud of that accelerator. So definitely, do that. And then the other thing to remember too, I'm in the REI Black Book Facebook group, you guys. So if you have questions, just tag me in the group. I'm more than happy to jump in and help you out. I'm here as a resource because, Damon and Josh, the whole team at REI Black Book have been great to me. So if you need something, obviously book a call to talk to the team. But if you just got a quick question, tag me in the group, post it there. I'll be happy to jump in and help you out. It's the least I can do. And thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Dan, thank you so much, man.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dan Barrett. Now, if you need a real estate website for your business, I'd like to invite you to sign up for a free trial of REI Black Book. You can click the button below, sign up for a trial, and you can get your seller website set up today. You don't need to know anything about coding. We make it really easy to go in and customize the website to your branding, add your logo, add information about your market and your company. You can also add a custom domain name, all inside of REI Black Book. And the best part about it is our websites hook up to our CRM, our phone system. So when sellers come to your website and you capture their leads, their information is automatically going to be captured in your CRM. And we have all the tools that you need to take a brand new lead and turn them into a sales appointment and a deal. Things like automated follow-up, deal calculators, property marketing websites. It's all built inside of REI Black Book, all in one platform. So if you're looking to get your website set up today, go ahead and click the button below this video, sign up for a free trial of REI Black Book and get started today. And if you're new to this channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified every time that we release new videos. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you in the next video.